If I was to walk upstairs and see like a going on, I'd be like,
picture this horror story. You're like naked, having sex, and there's people around you who are like, you could hear them talking about you.
Was Hugh into toys?
Yeah, I mean, he had quite the collection. Should we talk about like the alleged trafficking tunnels that everybody's talking about online?
Yes.
Talk Tuah 24. Get out and vote.
And then you have this man, he goes, so how many dicks would you say you've spit on? I was like, can you name every single subscription you have? I know I can't name all mine. I just learned that over 74% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. With Rocket Money, I don't have to remember every subscription or worrying about forgetting any because I can see them all laid out right in front of me. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and it helps lower your bills so you can start saving. See all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money's going. For any you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them with just a few taps. And Chelsea, you know the best part? You can get alerts when bills increase in price. There's unusual spending activity, or if you're going close to over budget. Rocket Money has over 5 million users, and it saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Stop wasting your money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/talktuah. That's rocketmoney.com/talktuah. Today we have Frankie, and then we got Apollo, and then Miss Haliey Madison.
Hi. I love having the dogs here. It's so zen vibes.
It feels like a homey kind of... Oh.
It does. Don't knock over
Don't
the
put your
coffee.
snoot in my coffee.
Wait, you gotta give her gift first.
Oh, I do.
Oh, I have a gift?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I actually almost forgot.
Oh my God, that's so cute. I love it. Talk Tuah 24. Get out and vote.
It has nothing on your hoodie you
So
have on,
cute.
though.
Yeah, I have my Donald Duck hoodie with the, it has the devil horns, so.
Got Spooky Donald.
Oh, I love
Halloween.
that.
Yeah.
I come across something you have. It's like a... What was it? Playboy Murders?
Yeah.
I'm fixing to start watching that. I'm so curious about it.
Yeah,
Like-
I love doing that show. I love telling those stories. We just cover a bunch of murders that took place kind of within the Playboy world. It was such a big company. There were so many people that worked as bunnies in the clubs across the country. So you're going to find, stories within these people's
That's kind of
real
scary,
lives.
though.
It is very scary because every story is so completely different. The murders happen. Some of the people we talk about that were in the Playboy world were the perpetrators, some were the victims, and we're recording the 3rd season now. So it's like there's so many stories.
Did you ever get scared while you were in the mansion?
Not about things like that. When I was there, it was more like drama, and it was a lot of competition and a lot of like weird rules, like you couldn't leave the house after 9 o'clock and things like that. So it got really depressing for me. So it was more like that kind of a thing. I felt safe inside the mansion, like there was security, and it was a gated property and things like that. So I didn't feel like I was in danger of being murdered or anything.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent.
That's
So
a start.
I know Hugh could have like a few girlfriends. Were you allowed to have like a boyfriend or anything?
No, that was totally against the rules. Most of the girls did, though. I think Bridget and I were the only ones who didn't. We just weren't interested in dating around, but everybody else kind of did on the side and kept it on the down low.
Oh, and didn't tell him.
Yeah, but he would get pissed if he found out. Like there was right before I moved in, there was a girl who was having sex with one of the butlers on this couch. That was like, there was this living room that would turn into a movie theater. Like the big screen would come down from the ceiling, and there was this like tiger print couch behind it, and she was having sex with this butler on the couch, right? And so that was a big drama and scandal. And then none of the girlfriends were allowed to like fraternize with the butlers after that. Like we weren't supposed to like hang out in the pantry or like talk to them too much.
What would happen if he did find out, though?
People would get kicked out. And when I first moved in, I would see people, like somebody left to go like visit their family, but then another girl ratted them out and said, no, she's really seeing a boyfriend. So all her stuff in her room just got packed up in boxes and like sent out the back gate and like wasn't allowed in. And it was like this big, like shameful drama, in that community. And it was like, she's going to get like DNA'd, which stands for do not admit, but I didn't know that because I was brand new. And I was like, DNA? Like, are they swabbing her DNA? Like, what are they doing with it? So it just seemed so, like I was 22 when I moved in there, and everything just seemed so dramatic and crazy. And then I got to the point where I was kind of terrified of like being kicked out at any moment because I didn't really have anywhere to go in LA. So it was just a whole like whirlwind.
I'm glad I'm getting to ask you this because, like, I would have assumed, like, all the girls, like, stuck together and they had each other's backs.
no,
but they would, like, tell on each other?
100%.
That's horrible.
It got better over the years. Like, it got to the point where there were only 3 girlfriends instead of 7, and I really started to take the initiative because, you know, anytime somebody would come to test for Playmate of the Month, they would stay in the guest house at the mansion and they would come out with us and stuff. So it got to the point when a new girl would arrive, I volunteered to like give them tours and like show them around and introduce myself. So that kind of got everything off on a better foot. And then everybody started becoming friends and like getting along, and there wasn't really the competition. But when I first moved in, it was an absolute disaster. It was just, you know, everybody was trying to backstab the other one and get the other one kicked out, and it was just a nightmare.
Girls shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, it's too much.
And, like, especially if, like, you're all together. Like,
Yeah.
y'all need to stick together.
But they're all
100%.
dating the same man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that work?
Not well. Not well.
Like, I get very jealous. I don't know about you, but I couldn't share a man.
Yeah, well, I think it started out everybody was okay with it because everybody kind of gets into it as like a transactional relationship. Nobody's like thinking they're in love or anything like that. But Hef and I got really, you know, codependent and enmeshed, and it kind of just turned into a relationship between just us near the end. And Bridget and Kendra were there more for like the show and hanging out and stuff. So things got a little more chill. But in the beginning, it was a nightmare.
Hectic.
Yeah.
What was Hugh like?
He was a multifaceted character for sure. He was somebody that in the beginning, you know, I really looked up to and was like really impressed by because he'd done so much and accomplished so much. And he had such a community of friends that just loved him. And I just thought he was like the greatest person ever. But then over the years, my eyes started to open with like how manipulative he was with the girlfriends. And, you know, there was so much drama in the beginning, and I always just blamed it completely on the other women. And I thought everybody else was the problem, and Hef was so great. But then as the years went by, and one of the reasons I decided to leave was it just became more and more obvious to me that he was like loving that people were like fighting, or he thought it was fighting over him. And so he would kind of like encourage it and stuff. And other girls would come back to me and like tell me things that he said. So that was one of the reasons I left. But
So he was playing y'all against one another.
totally 100%.
I hate men.
Yeah.
That right there is like, ugh, that makes me so mad.
Holly,
he
when
has
you
some
girls
cool-
come to the house or you agree to do anything with Hugh at the house or anything like that, are you guys under contract from that point on once you're staying in the house?
No.
How does that all work? So like you could leave and go get a new job, or like were girls scared that they wouldn't be able to book anything else if they left Hef, or kind of what was the deal with that?
Well, the rule was we weren't supposed to work. Like, I kept my waitressing job when I was there just because I was like, I don't know how this is going to work out. Like, I'm not going to, you know, ditch everything. But then a couple months into it, he got really jealous and told me I had to quit the job. So that was something I wasn't really aware of when I moved in. I thought I could still go out and audition and do different things. But then once you get there and once you're in there and once you kind of feel a little bit like this is your home and you're a little bit financially dependent on the situation, you find out, well, you're not supposed to work, you're not supposed to do this. So then it gets kind of tricky because you want to save up and you want to like build a life for yourself. So it gets tricky like that. But we were never under any contract or anything like that, which is surprising to a lot of people, especially that he didn't have people sign NDAs. But I feel like he was so greedy to get laid and get people up into his room that he doesn't want something standing in between that. He's not like, wait, you have to sign this first.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So you couldn't even be your own person, really.
No.
And what's the average age range of these girls at the time in the house? Like how old are you guys when this is all happening?
I was 22 when I moved in. I think there was one other girl who was my age. And at the time, the other 5 girls were a little bit older, like more in their late 20s. But women who were coming to try out for Playmate and stuff, they were usually anywhere from like 18 to 25. And there were
So-
girlfriends who were like 18, 19 at different times too.
Oh, wow.
Did he have like a certain age? Like, say you get to be 32, would he like kick you out if you got to a certain age?
There wasn't anything like that. Like he did have some older girlfriends at some point. And when I say older, I mean like early 30s. So there wasn't like technically that age range, but I would see a lot in the notes when it came to like women who are trying out for Playmate, like the editors would write like, oh, she's 28. Like that's like, watch
Pushing
out.
it.
Like she's getting too old. So
So he liked him young.
yeah, for sure.
Come on now,
Sus.
Hef. I bet he had really cool parties, though.
Yeah, the parties were super fun,
they're
especially back then. They were really exclusive and hard to get into. And I was just like in college and working at a restaurant. And some of the girls at the restaurant, like the really cool ones, got to go to those parties. So I thought that would be so cool to get to go. And I was working for Hawaiian Tropic. And one night at one of the events, Hef's doctor came and he wanted to invite all the girls to the party. So I was so excited. I got to go because I'd never seen anything like it. It was just this huge, beautiful party. And, you know, you'd see like different celebrities there and people you recognize from TV, and you know, it was the cool party in town everybody wanted to go to, and it was hard to get in, and back then like nobody had cameras on their phones or anything like that, so everything felt very like private and exclusive, and something you could go tell your friends about the next day. That all changed when everybody got smartphones. Then the parties were not cool anymore. And it's crazy how something like that just makes such a huge difference and ruins everything.
It does ruin everything.
Yeah.
Did that kind of change, do you think, the entire business model for Playboy once the internet and smartphones came out? Because, I mean, print is obviously kind of dead. Because I feel like back in the day, no one turned down Playboy. Nowadays, Haliey turned down Playboy like 2 days after her video went viral. And it's like, I feel like that's something that wouldn't have happened in the early 2000s or before. No one said no, I feel like.
I'm not comfortable in my own skin like that. But anybody else could go out there and do it because, like, I'm not against it. I like looking at it. I hate to say, but, like, the little outfits and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I watched, have you ever watched The House Bunny?
Yeah.
She was in it.
Who told me? Who
She
told
was
me
in
that?
The House
Which
Bunny.
one
What do you
were
mean? Has she ever watched it?
I was in it for like a couple scenes just briefly. Like we would be like standing next to Hef and have a few lines with him. Like I didn't have a character or anything. I was just kind of playing myself.
I'm going to have to watch that again. I've watched it like 10 times and I never paid attention to that. They're like, she was in it. And I was like, where? I was like, oh, she was
brief.
Shelly.
Yeah.
I had to do my research.
Yeah.
And then it popped up last night. What were we watching? And it popped up. There was a scary movie that popped up, like Scary Movie 3. And then there was a House Bunny. I was like, there's no way she was in Scary Movie. There's no way.
No, it was in the very beginning. We had a scene with Charlie Sheen. Scary Movie 4. That was the one.
I do not pay attention to shit. I'm learning so much.
I think it was right at the beginning of the movie, though. It was like the opening scene, I think, if I remember correctly.
We're going to sit down and watch those tonight, and I'm going to be looking for you. I'm so curious. Hey, y'all. I mentioned last episode how easy Better Picks is to play, but I wanted to show you exactly how to do it. All you got to do is download the Better app on your phone. Now go in there and pick your favorite players. Pick more or less on their projections. Lock in your lineup. Now you have a chance to win up to 1,000 times your money. That's it. You're done. It's literally that simple. And now that football Sunday just become 1,000 times more fun. Now download Better and play Better Picks. Now win up to 1,000 times your money.
Yeah. Should we talk about like the alleged trafficking tunnels that everybody's talking about online?
Yes.
Okay, so like I've been seeing all these TikToks that people have been tagging me in because of course like the whole P. Diddy thing is breaking, and his house was a couple blocks down from the Playboy Mansion, like pretty close. And now everybody's saying that there's trafficking tunnels underneath the two houses. And it's not true. I can tell you where like the rumor got started, but it's this big rumor that's going around. So like in 2015, Playboy thought it would be cool to like start this quirky little rumor that there were like hidden tunnels underneath the mansion that like went to like some old 70s actors' houses, and they had these like fake blueprints drawn up, and they were doing like these tweets and stuff. And it was for April Fools. They did it like a couple days before April Fools. But that was like right before everybody kind of went QAnon. And then people like latched onto that rumor and people think it's real. And now that like the P. Diddy thing is breaking and his house is kind of close by, and there's the rumor, there's like the interviews with like Jaguar Wright, and she's kind of like sitting there, I think speculating in this part of the rumor where she's like talking about, well, you know, like Bill Cosby was doing all this stuff at the Playboy Mansion. And then, you know, there's tunnels that go back and forth, which I'm sure is like she heard that like everybody else heard it. But now it's like a thing that people are believing, and they're like, Holly, you have to speak out about this. And I'm like, as far as I know, there were no tunnels. And I was snooping around every corner of that fucking house.
I would have scoped it out too.
I had a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah.
It was like Beauty and the Beast when Belle was like into the West Wing and she's not supposed to be there. Like I was looking for anything and everything.
I'd be curious too, though. If I was in like a big house like that, I'd be like, okay, well, what's in here? What's in there?
Totally.
Wasn't there
I'm
a
nosy
zoo
too.
in the house?
Yeah,
There
on
was?
the grounds there was a zoo. We had like monkeys and different birds and things
That's
like
so
that.
cool.
I forgot you wanted to ask her about that.
Yeah, I did. I heard it and I was like, there's no way.
So Hef just had like his own zoo?
Yeah, he had a zoo permit, and the person who bought the house now, they kind of like got the permit with the house, so the animals are still there and stuff.
I love that.
Yeah, I loved it. There were like so many exotic birds and things that I made friends with. And
Do they do anything with the building anymore?
he's renovating it. Yeah, he's posted a couple pictures. I think he's doing a pretty good job. He's keeping like a lot of the historic accuracy, but like making it a little bit nicer in some places.
Did you ever witness like anything weird in there?
In the house?
I think I watched a podcast you done, and you said you walked. It was like when you first got there, and you walked upstairs, and they're having like an orgy.
Oh yeah, I mean,
was that just like a normal thing to see?
I feel like that's normal. Was it?
Yeah, that was like on the schedule,
Yeah.
Wednesdays and Fridays.
Wednesdays and Fridays. He had designated days for it.
So
Yeah.
what was like your experience like first seeing that?
Well, I was really, really wasted. So the memory is blotchy. But yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of that, and a lot of, I mean, even everything from like, I saw ghost shit up there. I saw like weird people wandering around that weren't supposed to be there. Yeah. Yeah, and Bridget did too in her room. She saw a ghost.
If I was to walk upstairs and see like an orgy going on, I'd be like, I have to like rub my eyes and be like, okay, I did see that, and I'd just turn around and head out. I don't know how I'd take that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I think it'd be something to just see like 2 people as it is. I'd walk in, I'm like, oh shit, my bad, and I shut the door and go on. But like 10 people, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot going on at all times for sure.
What kind of ghosts did you see in the mansion?
Well, the first one I saw was in the gym. I was working out and I saw a girl come out of the tanning bedroom and like walk around the corner. And I was new to the house at this time, and when I was done working out, I thought, well, I should go introduce myself to her. It's probably somebody who's like testing for playmates, staying out in the guest house. And I went around the corner and she was gone. And I saw there were like mirrored like dance studio type walls in there, and there was like what looked like a cutout of a door, and that's the only place she could have gone and disappeared to. So I thought, oh, that must be another like secret door, because while there might not be underground tunnels from the mansion as far as I know, there were kind of like secret passages like within the house. Like if you went down to the basement and like cut under, you could get to the gym, because the gym was like built underground. And that's how I had gone in one way. And then since I was new to the house and saw this cutout, I thought, oh, that must be another. I'll check that out later. I got to go do whatever. So next time I was in the gym, I'm like, I want to see where this other secret passage goes. So I go and I pop the door open, and it was just a really shallow closet that was full of stuff. So I'm like, where did that girl go? I never saw her again. And then Bridget saw an apparition in her room one night. She had just got a new puppy, and it was her sister, and this other girl were in her bedroom. And they all saw this woman with like stringy black hair like appear in the doorway to the bathroom and then disappear, and all 3 of the girls saw it.
I would have packed my shit and I would have been out of there. I can't do that. Walked around with some sage burning. Be gone.
So creepy.
I wonder if they like died in there.
I don't know if anybody died in there, but I don't feel like somebody has to die in a house for it to be haunted. I just feel like their energy wants to return.
Wait, did you share a room with any of the other girls, or did y'all all have your own separate rooms?
I mean, it depended on how many girls lived there at the time. For the most part, girls had their own rooms. I shared a room with Hef. When I first moved in, though, for like a couple days, I lived in what would become Bridget's room with one other girl. There were like 3 beds in there at the time. And then I had my own room down the hall for a couple months, and then I moved into Hef's bedroom. But for the most part, people had their own rooms. I think Bridget just liked having people over, and her room was always kind of like the slumber party room.
Made it more homey.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you and Bridget stuck together, though.
Yeah.
Me too. Like, I don't think I would have got through it without her, because she was like the one other girl who I felt like was sane for a while until we started making more friends and stuff. So it's great to have somebody like that.
That's kind of like me and her.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been together since the beginning of this shit. That's how it's going to end, too.
Yeah, I think that's what saves you, you know, when you're going through like all this exposure and this crazy wild ride. It's like holding on to your friends and your old friends that know you.
How long have you and Bridget been friends?
22 years. It was just her birthday yesterday, and I did a
Happy
post.
birthday, Bridget.
Happy birthday.
I did one of those posts with like, in my story was like, happy birthday, Bridget, my partner in crime of, and I'm counting back, I'm like, 22 years.
Damn.
It's crazy.
Now that Diddy's going down, who do you think's next?
I mean, there's nobody that I personally have info on. Everybody's saying Jay-Z, though.
Oh, I've seen that, too.
That's like the gossip.
Him and Jay-Z were friends, though, weren't they?
Did he?
I saw
Yeah.
a thing
I
where
think
like,
they were like, I think that's why people think he
Yeah.
might be the next go down, is allegedly they were like involved or something.
yeah, I saw something where it was talking about him and Beyonce like covering it up for Diddy.
Yeah, I've seen that, too.
I don't know what they're covering up though. Like, I mean, everything's kind of out in the open. I mean, he likes his baby oil.
People have been asking me to comment like on the tunnels specifically about the P. Diddy thing. I never went to any of his parties or anything like that. I think I probably have a picture with him somewhere, like crossing paths at like a nightclub. You know, I've been at like dinners he's at, but when you're around somebody casually, you don't see like the down and
Who they
dirty
are.
shit that you're doing, that they're doing. You know what I mean? So
They said he had like freak offs too.
Yeah, that's what the
Yeah.
baby oil was for.
He bought it in bulk at Costco, but he buys everything in bulk. So that's the defense they're using right now.
That's
so it's not
the
that
defense.
weird that he bought
Okay,
the
but
baby
what are you going to
oil.
use that much baby oil for?
yeah, what's an adult using
Exactly.
baby oil
Yeah.
for? But once a vagina gets involved, like no baby oil. It's
Yeah.
so bad for you. Like absolutely
Oh,
not.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
It's going to throw off your pH so hard.
That's gonna burn. Are you interested in having hair that grows faster, stronger, and longer? Having visibly thicker volume? Experiencing noticeably less shedding? Thicker lashes and brows? Well, let me tell you this. All of this is possible with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, and faster growing hair. Less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Thinning hair is different for men and women, so one size fits all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas for men and women that are tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you can get just what you need. With a Nutrafol subscription, building your hair growth routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription needed. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, you can save up to 20%. Get results you can run your fingers through. Nutrafol is offering $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code TALKTUA. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier, fuller hair. Nutrafol.com, Nutrafol, with promo code TALKTUA. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code TALKTUA. Chelsea, how much fun was that Tennessee game we went to last Saturday?
Yeah, that was great. Our seats were amazing, too.
I just love going to live events so much, especially football games. Here, let me get my phone and go on the Game Time app. Ooh, we should try to get tickets for the next Tennessee game.
Oh, can you see when the Titans are playing at home next? I bet NFL games are fun, too.
Yeah, good idea. But you know what I love about Game Time? You can see the views from your seats before you buy the tickets.
Oh, that looks perfect.
And Game Time also has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for these events so much easier.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It helps filter everything, so you can see all the deals quicker.
Yep, exactly. And what's cool about it is, even if we don't want to get these Tennessee tickets now, we can get last minute deals right up till the start of the event. And even an hour after it starts.
That's great. And we are in LA right now, so what should we do tonight?
I'll go on the Game Time app right now and look. Everyone should go download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code TALKTUA for $20 off your first purchase.
Terms apply.
Again, create an account, redeem code TALKTUA, TALKTUAH for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. What time is it?
Game time.
So the parties at the Playboy Mansion, was there like a strong buffer zone between Hef's girlfriends, you guys, and like other, like let's say if a pro athlete walked in and he thought you were cute and wanted to talk to you, would security put an end to that right away if you guys started fraternizing, or how did that kind of whole thing work?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there were some girls who would like get around it or like exchange numbers just kind of like on the low or whatever. But most guys wouldn't really approach us if they saw that we were at the table with Hef, because they just kind of knew like that's the boundary. And when people ask me about like, you know, crazy shit I saw at the parties, I didn't see a lot of crazy shit at the parties, because you wouldn't think this, but when people were like around Hef, like where he would sit at the party, people would behave a lot because they wanted to be invited back.
Yeah.
Like you'd kind of have to be at the other end of the party without him to kind of see like the crazy shit go off.
I feel like that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But you were always with Hef, so that's probably why you never saw all that crazy stuff
Totally.
going on.
Like I went to parties before I was with him. I was invited to some parties. But even then, like, I didn't see too much. I would never stay that late, and I wouldn't see crazy shit. But then I would hear other people tell me about, like, what was going on at the other end of the party.
So how did you get to be, like, his favorite girl, like his main girlfriend?
I think part of it was just my personality suited his a lot. Like, I like to stay in and watch movies, and, you know, I got really involved in the magazine, too. I started working as a photo editor. So we bonded over a lot of, like, common interest things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet he was a nice guy.
Some
Besides
people
his
think so.
manipulative ways.
Yeah.
Would you ever go back and do it again?
You know, people ask me that all the time, and it's a weird question to answer because I don't know if they mean, would you just go back and like change it, or would you have to like put your consciousness back in your old body and like go relive it in real time? Because if it was like relive it in real time, I don't think I'd want to, because there were so many like bad years. Like things kind of got good when the reality show started filming, but that was about halfway through my time there, and I wouldn't want to like redo it again. I would find something else to do. But as far as like going back and like changing anything that I don't like or anything I find unsavory, I wouldn't do that, because I feel like I learned so much from it, and I like where I ended up, and I feel like I can make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you were still in the house when you started doing your reality show.
Mm-hmm.
What did Hugh think about it?
He loved it because he loved attention. He loved being famous. He loved staying relevant. Like, you wouldn't necessarily think that's the case because he was such an iconic person. You'd think he'd kind of be secure in that. But no, like he loved going out and getting attention at the nightclubs. He just loved all of that. So when the show blew up, he was super into it. In fact, like orgies and shit stopped because he wasn't looking for like the validation and trying to like get as many, go out to nightclubs and like
He wasn't getting all the
as many
attention.
girls. Yeah, but once he's getting attention off the show, he was like so happy with that and so busy with that was kind of like what everything was all about.
Did he have a boat or anything he'd take y'all on?
No, he didn't have a boat. Yeah. He wasn't into leaving the house. It was really hard to even get him to travel. Like, we started traveling a little bit for the show, but it was only for the show. Like, it was so hard to get him to travel. Before that, it was only for things like if the magazine was having like its 50th anniversary and they want him in New York, like he'd go. But it was really hard to get him to leave the house.
He gives me like mysterious vibes. Like he
Mysterious
wears like
vibes?
a trench coat or something. I'm like,
No, I can totally see that. Like, he always tried to present himself like he was such an open book. And in a way he was, but in a way he wasn't too. Like, he had his ways of like, you know, treating people behind closed doors. And so, yeah, very mysterious.
How old was he when you got in the house?
76. Super
Wow.
old. Yeah.
He got around good too, didn't he?
oh, wait. Like, how do you mean? Like
not well. I can't say physically because you know you don't.
You mean
know
like
if
walking
that
without
Like, is he able to
walker?
walk down the stairs? Yeah.
Yeah, no, he could like walk and stuff and like go out to nightclubs and things
Able-bodied.
like that. Like, he always complained about back pain and things like that. But I feel like for a 75-year-old, he's a pretty young 75-year-old.
So he took care of himself.
Yeah.
Did he let y'all go shopping?
Yeah, I mean, we were expected to go out all the time, so we always wanted different outfits and stuff. And we were given like a clothing allowance of like $1,000 a week, but we also really wanted to save, or at least I did, because you know I'm young and I'm trying to like make a life for myself or whatever. So I'd always go like bargain shopping. Like, when they first started filming the reality show, the producer was like, I know, we have to film like a Beverly Hills shopping spree. I'm like, are you going to pay for it? Because that's not my budget. Like, I would always try and save like at least half of everything. And then I'd go shopping like downtown or on Melrose or like really cheap places.
That's smart though. Did
Yeah.
any other girls try to save like that?
I think so. I think, you know, Bridget and Kendra were both pretty reasonable. It was more like when I first moved in, the girls that were already there were the ones that would go out and like spend more on like designer clothes and stuff. And I'd buy a few nice things here and there, like a purse or whatever. But I also really tried to save and like just get creative with my clothes and stuff and buy
That's
stuff
smart,
that I
though.
liked, but save money.
Hey, you can still find cute stuff in the thrift store.
Totally.
Always. Well, besides the one Johnny took us to the other night, I was like, what in the hell is that?
Yeah, that was weird.
Do you like that cat skirt I found?
You should have got it.
I should have.
Yeah, thrifting is so hit or miss.
We don't really have a lot of thrift stores where we're from. We have like Goodwill, but there ain't shit in there. And you like itch when you come out.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
no.
pretty in there.
You're like, okay, that's unusual.
Pookie's older, isn't he?
Pookie. Pookie's not that old.
Who's Pookie?
Haley's secret boyfriend.
Aw.
Yeah.
You have a mystery man?
I got a mystery.
I love having a mystery man. I'm talking to somebody right now and I'm keeping him a mystery man for as long as possible.
When did we watch that podcast?
Which one?
I was so enthused. I was sitting there giggling because this girl was asking about your boyfriend. You're like, oh, we broke up 2 weeks ago. You were so nonchalant about it. I was sitting there giggling. I was like, I need to be like that.
Yeah, well, it was a long time coming. It was like a 5-year relationship that was like really off and on. So by the time we finally broke up, I was pretty like well adjusted about it.
You're
And,
like, oh, fuck yes.
yeah, and we're still cool and like we get along and stuff. So it was a non-dramatic breakup.
That's good.
Yeah.
How'd you like get out of it though?
I caught him cheating. That's a pretty good excuse.
That is a good
Yeah.
excuse. I think I've used that. I was like, all
I
right,
mean,
bye.
I was mad about it, but like I was more mad for like the person I was, because when I found out he cheated, it was like it happened like a year ago, and like the girl had been done with it for a while, and she just kind of got this like attack of conscience out of nowhere to tell me. So I was more like sad for myself back then, because I was thinking back to that summer and like how in love I was in that summer, and how like we would go on these vacations together, and then like the second my back was turned, he was with somebody else. So I was more like mad about that, but
I'd have been kicking myself in the ass too.
yeah.
But I bet it was like a relief though when you got rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super, super busy. So honestly, like making time for a relationship, even if it's like driving 20 minutes to go to his house, like it kind of frees up some time, to be real.
Yeah, you can start reading you a book or tanning.
Getting
You ain't
some
gotta go see
sleep.
no man. But you got a new man now, right?
Talking to somebody.
How's
yeah.
it going?
Well, we're still in the talking stage, but
Ooh.
I'm happy about it for now.
Good deal. You got babies too, don't you?
I do. I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
they're
boys or
sweet.
girls?
A girl and a boy.
Oh, you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're like such perfect kids. I don't know how I got so lucky. Like, I don't have any drama with them. Just trying to get them to do their homework is like the most dramatic thing.
That is definitely a hassle. I hated doing homework.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd done it half the time. I get there in class and I'd be like, yep. It comes in handy having a normal life, like when you're a kid. Like, you just get to worry about being a kid. You don't have to worry about nothing else.
I think so too. Like, I'm so grateful I grew up in Alaska, and it was just a lot of like playing in the woods and things like that. So
You grew up in Alaska?
Mhm. Yeah, I lived
What
there
was your
until-
childhood like?
It was very, very isolated. We lived in Southeast Alaska, and by the time I was in kindergarten, we lived in a town, a really, really small town. But before that, we would live in like logging camps and sometimes didn't even have running water. So it was a very little house on the prairie. And then by the time I was 10, we moved to Oregon, which I didn't like as well. That was very, very normal, but like I missed being in Alaska. I missed being in nature and being like in this really small town where everybody, but I was like undiagnosed autistic too. So I had a little bit of difficulty relating to people and connecting with people, and somehow like being in a really, really small town just was so much more less judgmental, and being with the same people my whole life was really helpful. So
When did you get diagnosed?
just last summer.
Really?
Yeah. Mhm.
How'd they diagnose it?
Well, you have to do, I did mine over Zoom. I finally found a doctor that did it, because it's really hard to find a doctor that will do it for adults. And we did like 7 different sessions over Zoom, and they do all kinds of like tests on you. And the tests are interesting. It's everything from questions to, they'll show you a picture of like people's eyes, and you have to tell them what expression you think it is, because sometimes being on the spectrum, you have a really hard time like reading people's faces. And they would do things like they would did an appointment with my ex-husband, an appointment with my mom, to get their breakdown on how they had experiences interacting with me, or like what they observed in my childhood or being married to me. So
Does it affect your daily life or anything?
I felt like it did, but I didn't really understand it. I always thought that there was something a little off with me. Like I didn't understand why I was so introverted, or why I would have trouble, interacting with people. I just always thought, well, okay, I'm like different in some way, and I didn't really get it. But now that I understand what's going on, it helps a lot, and I feel like I can adjust my behaviors and kind of like overcome what's going on. Like throughout my whole life, they would say like, oh, make eye contact, and I'd know that's something I was supposed to do, but I never really did it until I got
I don't
diagnosed.
like it either.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For me, it wasn't a conclusion I came to. It was something that when I was getting a divorce a few years ago, my ex-husband was talking to my mom about it, about just some of my behaviors and things. And she said that she always suspected I was on the spectrum. She used the term Asperger's, which isn't like a term people like to use anymore, but it's a term for like high functioning autism. And then I looked online and was looking at what the symptoms were, and I thought, this sounds exactly like me. So I became more and more intrigued, and I started talking about it a little bit, because when I would share my story in interviews, I would look back on choices I made when I was younger, and knowing what I know now about being on the spectrum, those choices make a lot more sense. Not that I'm trying to blame my choices on being autistic, but it makes sense that I would feel like I can bond and be in love with like an older person who's really good at like manipulating and working people. Because when I was younger, I felt like I never connected to guys my age at all. So I always felt like, oh, people don't like me, or there's something wrong with me. And now I finally met this man that understands me, But looking back, I think it's just I wasn't connecting because neurologically I'm a little bit different.
That's okay, though.
But once I started talking about that, I thought I really need to get a diagnosis, because it's not really responsible, I think, for me to be going out and talking about. And I'm not putting down people who are self-diagnosed, because, like I said, it's hard to find somebody who actually does a diagnosis. And I'm somebody who has money and resources and things, and it was hard for me to find somebody. So I'm not putting down self-diagnosis. But I thought for me, if I'm going to be out here talking about it, I should really get a diagnosis and see what's up.
Do you have to get like medicine or anything for it?
No, I mean, not for me. That wasn't a treatment. I take Wellbutrin for depression and pretty open about that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I think more people should be open about that.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. I'm all about talking about mental health. Like, I remember not so long ago, just a couple decades ago, it was so stigmatized. Or I remember like 10 years ago, I was dating this asshole guy, and I broke up with him, and I was messaging him to like get some of my stuff back, and he had this new girlfriend who was really jealous and like getting into his phone, and she was like writing me this really mean text, like slamming me, and she's like, because when we broke up, it was like a public breakup, so we had said it was because our schedules are different, because that's kind of what you say when you're just trying to be neutral, not this guy's a raging asshole. But this girl, his new girlfriend, like sent me this long text, like slamming me. And then she's like, and I know why you really broke up. It's because you're on antidepressants. At the time, I wasn't even on them. I had told him, I'd confided him that I had been at one time, and that wasn't why we broke up. But that's like him going out and shit talking and trying to make me sound like I'm crazy. Like I was on antidepressants at one point. Like, fuck right off. So I love talking about it.
How's she gonna put you down over that? Like, I would have showed up to her house with, like, a sock with a rock in it, and I just went to town on her ass, because fuck that.
It's just insecurity. People
That's all it is. Girls shouldn't be like that at all. I hope she listens to this, and she's like, oops.
I know.
Maybe she'll send you, like, a letter and apologize.
I mean, hopefully she's grown up.
Holly, I seen you brought up Haliey in one of the recent podcasts.
I did.
I thought that was really sweet.
Oh,
That was
thank you.
sweet.
Because I saw the Bill Maher interview, and I thought, I know for you how new this all is and how intimidating interviews can be. And I just thought it was interesting how, his immediate idea for you was to do a sex podcast, which if you wanted to do that, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think it's interesting how, your viral moment happened to be a funny comment that was related to sex. But because you're a woman, it's like people automatically are like, well, you should do OnlyFans, or you should do, a sex podcast. But your comment was so normal. It was just such normal girl talk. And I feel like if a guy would have had a viral moment over that, people would have been like, oh, you're so fucking funny. You should stand up.
But I'm a girl,
for you,
so
it's like
different.
OnlyFans and sex podcast. So I just thought that was like a interesting conclusion to come to. And I just think he could have kept in mind a little bit how much older he is than you and been a little more chill, in my opinion.
No,
he used
I
to
agree.
make jokes about me being a whore back in the Playboy days, so that was a lot of fun.
Did he ever go to the mansion?
All the time. In fact, we joke about it on our podcast because we do a rewatch podcast about Girls Next Door. And every time they show a party montage, they'll have one of us comment in the confessional, there were so many celebrities there. And they always kind of show the same people. And it's always like Bill Maher and Paris Hilton are the two they always show. But we just start joking that like nobody's gone to his IMDb and like entered it. But if you entered all his guest spots on Girls Next Door, it might rival like his other catalog of stuff because it was a lot.
I feel like such a dumbass, like, after I talked to him. Nobody told me he liked younger girls. I tried to hook him up with my granny.
No,
And he, like, looked at me like I was fucking crazy when I was talking about
And I remember him
it.
saying like, oh, if you know anything about me. And I'm thinking, what, that you're so fucking cool, you only date 20-year-olds? Like, what are you
Exactly. And I was
doing?
like, what does he mean by that? I was like, what's he got against Granny? What's wrong with
I
Granny?
know.
Little did I know he likes younger women. I had no
Yeah.
idea. And that, like, I had no idea who I was going to talk to. They're like, yeah, it's Bill Maher. How do you say his name? Maher?
Mar.
Maher. And I was like, oh, okay, this older man, we're going to hit it off. Because I blend in really good with old people. I'm an old soul. And I live with my granny. I get there. He took me for a spin. I wasn't ready for that.
Well, you know what? You handled it so well, though. You were so composed and so chill and didn't say anything regrettable. So congratulations.
I tried to. I was fighting demons not to hit that joint he had. He was like, you want that? I was like, nope. And then he gave me a history lecture. I hated history in high school. So I was sitting there. I was like, all right, wrap it up, Bill. Wrap it up. And it was just me and him in his man cave. Like, I couldn't see anybody else. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I could stare at the floor for a minute.
Yeah, it's the worst when interviews get awkward because they're long form. Like, I remember back in the day when I used to promote stuff, it would be like 15 minutes max. You'd go somewhere and then... But now it's like if you get stuck in an awkward interview, forget it.
Yeah, you're done for. You just gotta sit there and listen to it. Guys, quick reminder. Talk To is brought to you by Better Picks. Better Picks offers an easier way to win up to 1,000 times your money. All you need to do is make 8 correct picks about your favorite players, and you can turn $1 into 1,000. If you actually pull one crumpled up dollar out of your you can turn it into 1,000. Do you know that? Download Better and play Better Picks, and enjoy the easiest way to win up to 1,000 times your money.
When I was first getting into the industry, like I was 25 when our show first came out. And when you, and back then it was so bad because back then everyone wanted to be Howard Stern, and Howard Stern used to be so raunchy. So you'd have to do these things called radio tours. I don't know if these are still a thing because I refused to do them for so long. But you're getting up at like 3 a.m. because you have to do the East Coast feed. So you're tired and you're drinking your coffee and you're trying to be like excited to promote your show. And they patch you into different radio stations across the country, like every 10 minutes or so. And every radio host wants to be Howard Stern so bad, but they're not as funny and they're not as good at interviewing. And when you're like a girl who's dating an old man and you live at the Playboy Mansion and you're promoting your like nude magazine issue, like the questions are so bad. And I feel like I got really good at answering them and, you know, being funny and doing it in a way that I thought Hef and Playboy would like and whatever, but it was still pretty miserable and very uncomfortable. So I hated doing press for the longest time. Hated it.
But that's something you feel like you had to do, though, to get by.
100%.
Like, that's how you got into it. So I get that.
Totally.
And I don't see any reason as to why somebody should judge you for that. You're just trying to get by.
It's crazy, especially if I'm coming to the plate, like, trying to have a sense of humor about it. Like, they could just roll with that, but instead they didn't want to.
Yeah, I've had a few interviews that have made me kind of uncomfortable. Do you remember the Australian one?
Yeah, we cut it in the middle of the interview. We just closed the laptop. Yeah.
Really? What were they saying?
man.
We prepped him, by the way, on what not to do. Go ahead, Haliey. He ended up doing all
they
the
weren't
things.
supposed to ask me anything, like, just provocative.
Yeah.
This man looks at me. We were in our hotel room and I was on the computer. I was having such a good time. The woman was so kind. And then you have this man. He goes, so how many dicks would you say you've spit on? I was like, Jamie said, oh, fuck no. He jumped up and hung up.
Yeah, it's really crazy how people think, you know?
Like, just because I cracked a joke, like, don't take it that
and it's
way.
like a normal joke. Like, people talk like that. It's normal. It doesn't mean you're, like, promiscuous or you have to be a sex expert or that's the only thing you have to talk about for the rest of your life. It's just so crazy how people react.
Things have really changed. Like, you went from Playboy and now we have OnlyFans. Like, it's such a twist.
It's so crazy. Like, I was going to say, like, when you got the Playboy offer, what even is Playboy now? Is it, like, OnlyFans?
He said that it would be fully clothed.
Yeah,
and
no
what else?
Nudity. I don't know.
But
Actually,
still,
should we read
I feel
it?
like there was like a catch to it though. So I was like, no. Because like I like the Playboy brand, like clothing wise, like sweatpants and the hoodies. I was like, yeah. And I got to thinking, I was like, there's probably a catch to that. I better not.
Yeah, and it's hard too because sometimes even if you're doing stuff that's not nude, people will see the brand and there's like a stigma to it. So it just depends on like how you want to be perceived and things like that.
Just like fanfics. I do fanfics and everybody's like, oh, you sold your soul to the devil. That's OnlyFans right there. No, it's not. I'm not naked.
I posted a lingerie picture on my Instagram the other day and somebody left a comment like, you're still selling your body. I'm like, I made no money by posting
I'd be like, and
picture,
what's it to you? If that's what you want to do and what you want to post,
I know.
what's it to anybody
It's
else?
so funny. And I went to go click their account to perhaps block. And it's one of those accounts where they like obviously made the account just so they can make that comment. And it's like, I'm flattered at this point.
You know,
You
they
put
live
the
in their
effort
parents'
in.
basement.
Yeah.
I have a lot of those. They're like, you're ugly. Click on their account and you're like, why does it say follow back and their profile picture's a cat? Or like an anime character. I'm like, okay, you
So
live in your
bad.
parents' basement and you're like 50. Okay. I don't understand people sometimes. Like, keep your negative stuff to yourself.
I know. It's so like nobody with anything going on is leaving those comments.
Exactly. They're miserable with their own lives.
Totally.
You've had a few interesting DMs, haven't you?
Yeah, those ones are. I don't even like reading them out loud.
Can you do a couple just for fun?
You want to read it out loud?
I can read it if you like. Yeah.
No, let him read the one.
Will I
love
be
doing
upset
a
if I read
dramatic
this?
Read.
I have.
So-
It's gonna be.
In the past week, so I get like those group chat DMs, and like they have like funny names on them. So I'm
They're
like,
over in your request though, like on the other side,
yes.
right?
And so I'm intrigued by them because of the names, and I'm like,
Yeah. Okay.
okay, that's kind of funny. And I like go to read
one
it.
sentence in, I can't read that on the
I have
podcast.
had
That
two
is
So bad.
naked women sprawled eagle in my DMs in the last 2 weeks. Like, I mean, sprawled eagle.
You know, it's funny when when my girlfriends would tell me the wild shit that guys say to them. In my head, I would just be like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Like, are you just kind of making it dramatic for the story to be good? I don't know anyone who talks like that. Turns out everyone fucking talks like that. After seeing both of their DMs, it's
crazy.
actually
I want to know what goes through their head.
I kinda
they're
hate
oh, she's
men
gonna
a little
like
bit.
this one.
I think you should read the one.
it's really
Jamie
bad.
doesn't even want to read it.
There's a guy who like pays to send me messages on Cameo where he's just like talking sexual stuff, and I'm like, keep sending. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna engage, but if you want to,
The catch to the one, like, that DM me, it was his girlfriend's nudes, I guess she sent to him. But he sent them to me. He said, "This is my girlfriend, and I want to send this to you."
That's poor form.
Like, how the hell are you going to send your girlfriend's cooter over here to me? I don't want to see it. That's yours. Keep it to yourself. Why are you doing her like that, you know?
Creep.
Yeah, that's bad nudes etiquette. You can never show.
Didn't we get... How much did that guy ask us for a three-way?
Like $60K.
That's cheap. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't even think you responded to that, did you?
What would I say to that?
Yeah,
Excuse me, sir. We need to 4X that
Up
number.
the price, please.
Exactly. That's what I would have said. I'm like, that's awful cheap, buddy.
I had an OnlyFans for a while during
Really?
the pandemic. Yeah, it wasn't nude or anything. It was just like bikini and lingerie pictures. But I got to a point where I wasn't really comfortable with it because the kind of like the captions people want to write for you, or like the account manager wants to write for you to like get people to click, were starting to get kind of embarrassing and stuff like that. So I stopped doing it. But I think it's great that people can now like control their own images and make their own money. I just think for anybody trying to get into that business, they should always keep in mind that like the photos are probably going to leak.
I feel like OnlyFans is a little bit better than Playboy because y'all couldn't have like a say-so and this and that and the other. But OnlyFans, you can post this. You can take that down if you want to. It'll probably still be somewhere, but you can take it down.
Yeah, you're
Or run
totally
it
in
yourself.
control of it.
How long did you do it for?
I had it up for 2 years.
2?
Yeah.
I feel like I could do like Feet Finder. I've had a lot of people ask me for toe pictures.
I read something somewhere where there's something in the brain where for some people it's like feet almost get confused with genitals. And this is like one of those fun facts that I feel stupid repeating because I know I'm not saying it right. So somebody at home look that up.
So are you dating anybody that is, I wouldn't even say dating, talking to somebody that's like how can I put it?
In the public eye.
Yeah, in the public eye.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
Didn't she used to date Chris Angel?
Yeah.
Okay, you rolled your eyes. I apologize for what I'm about to ask because I'm actually kind of a Chris Angel. I think Magic's kind of cool.
I like magic.
Magic.
Yeah, he's a famous magician. She used to date like the most famous magician in the world, basically, or one of the most famous magicians.
Did he ever pull you like flowers out of his coat or anything?
Yeah, I wanted to know like what kind of cool shit does he do for his girlfriends with the magic? Like, does he like make like bunny rabbits appear, or like does he do tricks for you or no?
Not with magic. Lots of jewelry and stuff.
Well, what's the fun in that?
Yeah, is there any like
Glad
fun
you picked
trade
that.
secrets we can know about the?
I do know how all the tricks are done, but I don't want to say because I feel bad. Even though like I know people have like revealed it before, like I know a lot of magicians and stuff, so I feel bad.
When I was at Celebrity Poker, this little guy that sat beside me, he was French. He was so cute. Dude, I should have drug him home with me. I would have paid him just to like amuse me throughout the day.
Dude, don't tell guys. You have a problem, by the way, with telling short guys how adorable they are. They hate that.
I can't help it.
Just so you know,
They're cute. If
they
they're like
hate
eye
that.
level with me, I'm like, oh, I just want to like give him a little pat on the head or a noogie or something.
You ruin their week every time you do that. Just so you know.
I think there's nothing wrong with a short guy. And I get kind of weirded out when, do you ever see like TikToks where girls are like freaking out and they're like, gross, I would never date a guy under
yes.
6'2". I'm like, calm down. Like guys can't help it. Like that would be
Yeah.
like if a guy was saying, I would never date a girl less than a C cup. Like people would be like, you're fucking gross.
Exactly. I feel like it's kind of like the same thing though, because like women are like, oh, I won't date a short guy, and then you got most guys are like, I don't like tall girls.
Yeah, and
Like-
like if that's your preference, whatever, but like you never know who you're gonna meet and connect with, and like don't be a dick about it online.
I personally love tall women. Like Hasten, my best friend's sister, she's like tall as all get out. I fucking love her. Like I don't imagine her being like any shorter than that.
Yeah.
I feel like she'd look strange if she was any shorter. And it's like, oh, big sister.
Well, when I was growing up, every girl wanted to be tall because that meant you could be a model.
Exactly.
That was the myth anyway.
But now, my ex-boyfriend, he was a little bit shorter, bless his heart. He would get so mad at me if I wore heels. When was it? Was it junior? It was either...
Prom.
It was one of our proms. I think it was my junior prom. I wore heels, and I was like maybe this much taller than him. He had a shit fit. He was like, take them off. I was like, no.
No, the pictures did look awkward though. I was like, Haley, you're gonna have to like scrouch this a
I
little bit.
tried. He
Help a
got
brother
so mad
out.
about that. Bless his heart.
So you have a podcast with your friend that was in the house with you, right?
Yeah, I do. Me and Bridget, who's on Girls Next Door with me, we do a rewatch podcast where we talk about all the episodes of the show. And of course, every time we watch an episode, we think of like 50 crazy stories that happen. So we have a lot of fun with it.
Did
I
you
like
guys
how
ever
y'all-
wear water bras, or am I crazy?
Water bras? No, we didn't have water bras. When I was like in high school, I had like a Wonder bra and I stuffed it. And even when I like got my first boyfriend, like I wouldn't really make out with him for so long. So I'm like, I have to like slowly take the bra down before he discovers the deception. And then by the time I was in the mansion, I had my boobs done. So I didn't need like any kind of like padding or anything like that.
Did you like recommend everybody having their boobs done?
I had mine done before. He didn't recommend it. Like sometimes if there was like a playmate that came along that tested, he might say something like, oh, you know, she could make it if she had her boobs done. He tried to do that once when I worked at the studio, and I'm like, I don't think you should really do that.
Did it hurt when you get them done?
Yeah, it does. You know, you wake up and you feel like an elephant is sitting on your chest, but it's not awful. Like I have a pretty high pain tolerance, and I was kind of back up and doing things in a couple days.
I wonder if I could go through that. I need a butt. Actually, I don't know if I'd look right if I had an ass.
You got to be careful with the BBLs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't picture you with
I
it.
couldn't picture me with one either. I just think it'd look funny.
Yeah, sometimes the BBL doesn't look like it fits on the body. Like there's no like flow between like the butt and the thighs sometimes. And
Yeah. I'm just a little flat girl. I don't think I'd look right any other way.
Yeah, I also think like natural's coming back. Like I just know like as a guy and all my friends, like when we see, I don't know, maybe like 5-6 years ago, if we saw a group of girls with BBLs walk into a restaurant, we'd all be like, oh, holy shit, look at that. Now when we see that, we're like, oh my God, again, another BBL. It's like enough already. Like, where's your real ass? Like, that's like, I think the real stuff is making its way back. I don't know.
See, I think men think like that, but me personally, if I'm walking down the street and I see a girl with a big ass on her, I'm going to look. I'm no better than a man. I'm like, God. And she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Every time I do that, she'll turn and look. She's like, wow. Yeah, I'm no better than a man. So what was your best and your worst memory from the mansion?
it's all so hard to narrow it down. I feel like I'm going to say what I think they are, and then an hour from now I'm going to be like, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Or some fan is going to call me out and be like, you lying bitch. You said this was your best moment 2 weeks ago, because there's always people who
You can have multiple ones, though.
Yeah, okay, so considering there could be multiple, I think one of my best memories at the mansion, I mean, one was working at the studio. I got to direct the Playmate pictorials for a couple of years, and that job was just so fun and so rewarding, and everybody I worked with was so amazing, and it was fun getting to know all the girls and stuff. So that and anytime we had like a rare moment that was like a girls' day, like one of the trips I always talk about was Bridget's sister Anastasia was turning 21, so we took her on this like road trip up through California. We went to San Luis Obispo and stayed at the Madonna Inn, and everybody got wasted, and it was so much fun. So those are some of my favorite memories. Worst memory, I would say, is like anytime there was like group sex with like the girls I didn't get along with. It was so awful, because like picture this horror story. You're like naked having sex, and there's people around you who are like, you could hear them talking shit about you and like talking about your body and talking about just it's like
and
a
they body
nightmare
shamed.
scenario. Yeah.
You're better than me. I probably would have punched a bitch in the nose.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, eat that. Now your nose is crooked.
Yeah. So there's a lot of highs and lows for sure. Those are probably like off the top of my head my best and worst.
So you had to be around girls that were mean to you and had to have like sex together.
Yeah.
But you hated each other.
Yeah.
You were one tough ass woman.
Thanks.
You were one tough ass woman.
It's kind of traumatizing, because it's one of those things you go into, and like, you know, when I was 22, I just thought I could handle anything, and like I was this badass, and you know, I should be able to like have sex like a man, and nothing matters and nothing hurts your feelings. But I just got in way over my head. It was just crazy.
You're a badass. So I feel like that's like it shaped you who you are to be like now.
100%. Like I learned so much from everything.
I have fell off the arm of this chair like 10 times sitting over here. I don't know what's going on. But yes, I feel like you're a really good person because of what you've been through.
Thank you.
Of course.
So what's the craziest rumor you've heard about yourself?
Oh, that's easy. That I'm an MK Ultra beta slave, and the government has programmed me to like be a spy who's also like a sex partner, and I have handlers I don't know about. I mean,
That's
maybe they brought
actually.
me in to like undo the Playboy world, and I don't know.
You know, I have something similar to that. You remember that print off you guys got me, and it said I was a Ukraine soldier, and I
think I saw that.
yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, she's got a fake accent. How'd you know? Like, I mean,
I think that rumor was just something I came across online at some point, and this was like 10 years ago when I first saw it, and I clicked on some link, And then the link I clicked on that was supposedly like all the details about like all the clues as to why I'm an MK Ultra beta slave and I have Disney princess programming, whatever that is. And I was raised in Alaska on purpose because they had to keep me isolated away from other people. And my name is Holly because in pagan religions, the holly tree is like something that like protects you from evil. Like that's why there's like a whole lore behind it. Like Harry Potter's wand is made of holly. Like if you look in the, so there's like a whole, they named it Hollywood because they named the land Hollywood because the lady was supposedly a pagan. So it's like there's all this lore. So then I click on the link that's going to tell me more lore, and then it says your IP address has been blocked from seeing this, and I'm like, they blocked me from seeing my own lore.
My thing is, how do you have so much time in your day to come up with shit like that? And it's so like descriptive too and like into detail, and I'm like,
people want to believe the conspiracy so bad. That's why like the Playboy tunnel rumor took off.
yeah. Here's your conspiracy theory of the day. We live in a goldfish bowl.
You know what? I don't necessarily disbelieve that with like aliens
don't either.
and stuff. Have you ever seen Tucker Carlson talk about like how he knows the scoop on aliens, but he's like not? I became like kind of obsessed with Tucker Carlson because I would see him on my FYP and there would just be short clips of him saying, you know, the aliens, I was briefed on the aliens, but it's so disturbing and it would like rock people to the core, so I can't tell anybody, which is giving me the impression like he thinks he's the only person equipped to handle this knowledge. So then I kind of became like fascinated with him. But like people have this theory that like we're really a breeding ground and our emotions are like an energy source for certain aliens and we're like an ant farm experiment. So the goldfish bowl thing could be a thing.
You know how we see a goldfish, like, or better yet, sea monkeys. You know, you can just look at them in their bowl. They never know what's going on outside the bowl. We don't know what's outside of space. What if there's something out there and we're just in like a big goldfish bowl?
That's so true.
So was it hard exposing people in your book and dealing with the backlash from it?
Yeah, I mean, the backlash was really harsh because my book came out in 2015 before the Me Too movement was mainstream and people didn't really understand why I would be talking about like a casting couch being problematic or why I would be talking about like emotional abuse or narcissistic relationships because people weren't really talking about that in the mainstream so much back then. So the backlash was crazy, but also as far as people who were in that world, like I knew that nobody in that world was ever going to speak to me again except for like a handful of close friends. Because even before I wrote my book, like if I would be on social media and I would say something that was just kind of neutral about my Playboy experience and wasn't like hyping it up to the gods, people would get pissy at me or unfollow me, people from that world. So I'm like, I can't do anything right. I might as well just tell the truth.
They're going to have something to say regardless at the end of the day. So I think you should do whatever you want to do.
Totally.
But I feel like you needed to expose a little bit in the book. So
I really
everybody
did,
understands
yeah.
where you're coming from.
Yeah, because it was like every day people would come up to me and ask, how's Hef? Do you miss the mansion? Oh my God, are you so sad you're not there? Kind of a thing. And I would always like say nice things because I thought that was the nice thing to do. Oh, everybody's good, everybody's fine. But it gets to a point when you have to do that every day and you're living a lie, kind of. It starts to make you sick. And I was just like, I just have to like tell people how it is. And nobody came up to me asking, how's Hef after that?
Good.
So,
Good. They left you alone about it.
Yeah.
You said I'm straight.
What was your relationship like with your family when you were in the house?
Oh, I wanted to ask that too.
When I was in the house, I didn't really tell my family what was going on. Like I told them I had moved in there and they didn't really know what I was doing. I kind of left it vague. And then Hef had bought me a new car or leased me a new car. And then my dad flew down to like take my old car back up because they were going to give it to a friend. And I was giving him a tour of the mansion, and it was during the day. Hef was in the office, and he goes, oh, so does Hef actually live here?
That would have been my reaction.
No, Dad.
So we never really talked about stuff like that because I, after getting into that relationship, like I said, I was in over my head, and it was a relationship that I wasn't entirely comfortable with. Even when the reality show cameras started filming, I wasn't really comfortable with the idea of doing a show because I'm like, even though I've been here a couple of years, like I don't even know how I feel about this relationship. I don't really want to blast it.
Yeah. And even if you would have told your family, I feel like they wouldn't have like got it.
I mean,
like, the
they
way
know
you
now
saw
though,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So what was their reaction when they like finally
I don't
figured
really
it out?
talk about it. This is awkward. I don't
No,
know.
it is.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to talk about it either. One of my cousins would be like, so what was it like? I'd be like, well, everything you can imagine.
Yeah.
That's about all I could say.
Totally.
Now, if you talk to like say a friend or something, I'm sure you could tell them. But now your family,
Oh, I can blast it to on a podcast to 1 million people, but not my family.
I got one more question for you.
Yes.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy? Well, you go
one
crazy.
move in bed that makes a man go crazy. You know what's funny is there was this one time, I don't know if I'm going to narrow it down to one move, but there was this one time where I was throwing a birthday party for Bridget, and somebody had told me that there was this thing called like, it's kind of like back in the day, they used to do this thing called Tupperware parties where people would come over and they'd sell housewives like Tupperware, and they'd show them like, oh, you can buy, you know, this container for your food. And I know it sounds so weird by today's standards, but the way they would describe this back then is like, this is like a Tupperware party, but for sex toys. So I thought, how funny if that would be this party. And it's actually what we filmed for the pilot of Girls Next Door. So it's like on the DVD if anybody wants to look for it. And so these people came and they showed us like all these sex toys, and like, this is what you can buy, and like, this is like what you put on your asshole to make it numb, and just all this weird shit. But there was a book they had, and it was a book, it was like 100 different sex moves, and it was like really good stuff. Like, this is how you make it feel like he's having a threesome, even if it's only with you. And I've tried looking for this book, and I forget what it's called. I can't find it anywhere. Because I'm like, I could use a refresher course. And don't even try to search for it, because I've tried to search for it, and when you search for like sex tip books from like the 2000s, the ones you will find are so cringy, and I swear to God, I'm not talking about any of those. It's like has cringy stuff in it. But there was this one book that I swear had like really good shit in it.
Was Hugh into sex toys?
Yeah, I mean, he had quite the collection.
I mean, did you get to use them on him, or?
I think he did back in the day. I never tried to use sex toys on him, but
I'm like, come here, let me put this dildo up your ass. Holly, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Hey, y'all, I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you haven't gotten yourself any Talk Tuah merch,
Be sure to click the link in the description below so we can match.
tag me and Talk Tuah while you're watching the episode.
And let us know what you think.
And before you go, don't forget,
Subscribe to that thing.